to anchor the country's long-term development. According to Cabinet, the NIF, National Infrastructure Fund, will be a limited liability company which will be funded through domestic resource, mobilization of domestic resources, the privatization of government assets and others, which has been very much criticized. And Maliba, let's start from there. I know the other things the government, the cabinet approved, including, and that is linked to the discussion we were having, road licenses, driving licenses through a PPP as well, which appears to be the new model of doing things. But when it comes to the infrastructure fund, if we could start from there, many people say that this is just another campaign promise, and that could result in higher taxation for Kenyans to fund this NIF. Do you agree, or do you have some faith in these new plans?
First of all, I think Kenya has got 56 funds. I'm talking about public funds in different, cutting across, we've got about 56 funds. As of yesterday, I think if you add on this, that will make them 58 funds. Some of those funds you even don't know about them. For example, have you ever heard about the Intelligence Infrastructure Fund? You would be surprised. We've got so many funds. Sometimes I tend to look at how we do these things, and they look like they're very noble and very new ideas. It is governance by fund. But then, let's get looking at this as for what it is. Number one, why I have got a problem with the infrastructure fund is because the president has literally amended the constitution without going through the whole idea of amending the constitution. What did he do at first? First of all, he was able to play around with the parliament to cede their power to oversight the sale of public assets. It was the route to this. Mm-hmm. So, number one, you trick parliament, or rather parliament allows itself to be played out of a constitutional role to oversight the sale, or rather, when you talk about the oversight role, these are the people's watchmen. These are our eyes when anything that pertains to public resources is concerned. So parliament gives its way on the sale of public assets. Secondly, now we have got this, whatever we call the infrastructure fund. This infrastructure fund is President William Ruto's way of running away, number one, from budgets, and number two, from oversight. With this now, the president is simply telling us that he is tired with the budget and the budgeting process. He wants a pot where he can dip in his hand and get money out all the time as much as he wants. The infrastructure fund is actually a way of running away from the budgeting process. And with that, since our budgeting process is actually a legal process, a legislative process, what has he done? He has sidestepped the budgeting process, and therefore now he will have an open port where he can dip in and get money as much as he wants. That is one. So, I don't want to talk about the sovereign fund, whatever he had promised. But what we have here is a very dangerous scenario. This is a modern day Goldenberg. This is a modern day Anglo-Leasing. That the next step in the Muli, you will actually see this, that once we have started this particular fund, you will hear about securitization of this 5 trillion fund for purposes of getting money very fast. And do you know where that leads to? This moves directly into an approach and a strategy to raise money for campaigns. Mm-hmm. That also speaks to another decision the cabinet did yesterday. The cabinet passed, or rather approved, a decision to enter into a PPP with a private partner for purposes of managing licenses, driving licenses, so that then now they are giving it very good policy language and very good development language, where they're talking about people are going to have instant fines, and then of course it liberates government from doing these things, and therefore what does it do? Government will then focus on its core function of governance. As a public policy person, I am a government technician, and I will tell you what this is. Those intentions are secondary. Where this particular decision started is where we are now using state access to create opportunities for friends and family, because already what started before that decision came to the cabinet, there was already, this private partner already had been identified. Mm. He did the proposal, it went through, and by the way, you would be surprised that probably yesterday, by simply having that particular decision in the cabinet, there are people who already made money out of it. Mm-hmm. But what are we going to see with that? Number one, we are going to be told, when the new partner comes in, quote unquote, you will be told that the new driving licenses that we have, the smart licenses, are not properly smart. Therefore, you will see another attempt at issuing new driving licenses. You remember we had the IDs, or rather the numbers, was it Huduma number, by the previous administration. They wasted a lot of times. We went and queued and did a lot. Then somehow that data, something happened with it, and we still went back to this old way of doing things. So there's a likelihood of having us being told we are going to reissue driving licenses at a premium cost. Secondly, you are going to have probably maintenance charges and convenience charges. Look at this. If you had a maintenance charge of 500 shillings per your smart card, quote unquote, for 10 million driving licenses, that is 5 billion shillings. So what are we doing here? What we are doing here is that we are making motoring even more expensive. That once you bring in this thing called PPP, is that you are still funding it. But what informs these decisions and these policies that are being made to look so good is so simple. It's the desire to make money. So we have got here the cabinet sitting down, quote unquote the cabinet, if there is any cabinet at all, sitting down, and then coming up with these decisions to tax Kenyans more. You are going to see yourself being told that whatever you have, that red book or that plastic card-based driving license is not smart enough. So we will have another one. And with that, you will be told, since the partner has to make money, he will not be making money from elsewhere. It is from you. You will pay convenience fees. Yes. You will pay maintenance fees. What are we doing? We are simply charging.
And it does raise a lot of serious concerns, because we know the history of how these funds are resourced. And one of them is an SSF, which on the front page of the Business Daily, we will pay more next year. This had already been planned, and it's being done in phases. It is a new way of doing things that this administration has come up with. PPPs, securitization of some of these issues, privatization of government assets. There are serious concerns that Kenyans are worried about what exactly is happening. We may not understand the legality of it. Wakili may help us with that. But these are serious concerns.
The biggest problem with people like Arnold Maliba is